Can you imagine going into like Foot Locker and going, all right, so I want North Carolina Jordans, and they bring out a box and there's no size on it. And you're like, what size is it? I don't know, just put them on. There's another thing I created years ago because I was like, this doesn't make sense. Like all these guys that are teaching don't really talk about all the things that you got to put together. They're just talking about get the deal done, and here's the thing, and here's what the seller gets, and then you assign the deal. And I'm like, okay, but I don't know the numbers. Like, give me the numbers. So I created a framework that really helps me out. You guys already should know it. It's a 7-part piece called the entry fee. So the entry fee is always cash to seller is the first one. Okay, cash to seller. How much cash is the seller getting in this situation? Okay, $5,000. Okay. If you guys ever send me a deal without telling me entry fee, I will not look at your deal. Period. I will not even look at it because then it's not even about the deal. Now I got to spend 45 minutes telling you a story to get you to understand this, to then to get you to understand this, to then tell you why you need to give me the entry fee. Ain't nobody got time for that. Okay? So cash to seller, $5,000 is always number one. Okay? Second thing? Arrears. Okay, or liens, if there are liens that need to be paid off, like an HOA lien, right? I currently have IRS liens that I've taken subject to. Perfectly okay with that. Me, in my current situation, I am perfectly okay taking an IRS lien subject to. You're brand new? Maybe hold off on that. Okay? I do things that I don't suggest you guys do because I have the risk tolerance that I didn't have 7-8 years ago. Okay? This person has 0 liens and 0 arrears. That's pretty good. Okay, this is promising. Okay, and then I call this the cost of acquisition. Okay, the cost of acquisition would be, let's say I have somebody on my team, an acquisition guy, and I got to pay him $2,500. Well, I would put $2,500 right here. That makes sense? Let's say, Eric, you bring the deal, and you're bringing the deal to me. I need to know what your assignment fee is in creative finance because I have to go raise that capital. Right. I need to know what it is. In cash, I don't care what your assignment fee is because I'm just going to get a hard money lender to bring the money anyway. I don't care how much you made. But if I'm going to do a creative finance deal, I got to go raise this capital from a private money lender. So doesn't that help me go actually raise the capital? Yeah. Okay, so I need to know your assignment fee. So if Eric brought this deal to me, I go, what are you making? $5,000. Cool. But now if it's an agent, I give the agent $10,000. So the cost of acquisition, whoever brought the deal to me and what they're getting paid, so it could be a wholesaler bringing the deal to me, it could be somebody on my team bringing the deal to me, right? An acquisition guy getting his commission, or an agent bringing the deal to me. However I acquired that, there's a cost there. Does that make sense? Cool. Now, I've got number 4 is closing costs. Okay, Vegas, super high closing costs. Like title and escrow in Vegas is stupid high. It's double what we are here. Okay, so you have to look at your individual state, but here I'd say we're like 1.5%. Kind of, what would you say? Yeah. Okay, so 1.5% on the, by the way, he owes $390, so what am I buying the property for? No. I'm taking that over, but he's also getting $5,000, and I'm buying. So my contract with the seller is $395, and then we put in the description that the agent's getting paid commissions, right? It's not part of the purchase price. Purchase price is $395. Seller's getting $5,000 down. Make sense? Okay, closing costs on $395. Let's just throw in $5,000. Okay. Now number 5 is always the same thing. My renovation. Okay. Number 6, okay, I call it runway now. I've been calling it runway. So before you get a property up and going, like Airbnb, don't you need some runway time? Right? Holding costs, right? You're holding it, right? Just because your plane's not in the air doesn't mean it's not costing you fuel for takeoff, right? So you're sitting there grounded and you're on the runway and you're pushing the gas, you're building momentum, you're burning fuel, you've got costs, your pilot costs, your airplane costs, all that stuff. So I call it my runway. As I'm about to take that property off in cash flow, I might have 2 months vacancy, right? I might have utilities, taxes, landscape, pest control. Arizona, if you don't have pest control, you got a problem. Okay? Definitely in Florida too, and probably Texas. So my runway costs, so my monthly payments on the house, my taxes, my insurance, let me simplify it. Anything that costs money to maintain a house, multiplied by the amount of months that you're gonna have that house vacant, is that number. So if the payment on this house, okay, payment on this house I think is, let's just say $1,300. Well, I've got $1,300 while I'm looking for somebody to maybe rent it to, if I'm going to turn it into a rental or turn it into an Airbnb. It might take me a couple months because my Airbnb is going to be longer. Why? My renovation is going to be different than if I turn it into a sober living. This is where exit strategy really becomes powerful, because I can look at this and I go, you know what, I don't want to clean up the property. I don't have the money to clean up the property. I just want to get a tenant in there right away. I can turn this into a sober living house, and sober living, you think they care about a little bit of dog pee smell? Not really. Legit, my sober living houses, they move right in there. Wow, this is nice. Whereas a regular tenant's like, man, are you going to replace the carpet? So you have to make that determination of what your exit strategy is. That your exit strategy determines how much runway you need for takeoff. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Does anybody not make sense? Because I could go on literally for 4 hours about that topic. I'm not going to, because you have to run into these situations to learn from them in order for this to absorb. Go ahead.
Sorry to go back to rental, but you had said 7% on a house that is new. So that, you know,
$7,000.
$7,000, sorry.
But this also is
that what
determined.
you
This is
call-
also determined by your exit strategy too,
Of
right?
course, but would you call that a lipstick job?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, so then the final one is,
Just cost to sell.
okay, cost to sell. I need to come up with a better name for that, or maybe I should call it takeoff. Okay, so I'll call it takeoff, okay? I've been teaching this for 7 years and I just changed the name. So officially we've changed the name to takeoff. Okay, so I have my runway, it's costing me money. Now when I take off, okay, what do I have? If it's an Airbnb, I'm gonna put my furniture costs on that, and maybe my manager startup fee, or my cost to get the software going, or whatever it is. This is to maintain the house while it's empty. This is to get it ready to sell. So if it's just a rental, my only cost to turn it into a rental, what does a rental agent usually get for like a commission, like $500?
Yeah. No more.
Okay, a couple $100. All right, so that's what that number would be. If I was just turning into a regular rental, or if I'm turning into a sober living, there's really no cost there.
And photography.
And photography, so a couple $100, right? So this number might be a couple $100, but if I've got an Airbnb and I'm furnishing it, that's not a renovation. Okay, my furniture and like decorating and making it nice, that would be my Airbnb launch cost. Okay, here. Okay, so if somebody comes to me and they go, this would be a really great Airbnb, and I go, perfect, what do you think my rough estimate on like an Airbnb entry fee would be? And they go, the seller wants $5,000 down. I go, okay, so what does the agent want? Oh, they want 10 grand down. I'm like, why do I have to ask you every little thing along the way? Don't you know how to sell a fudging product to me? Like, holy moly, don't make your customer beg for information about your product. Can you imagine going into like Foot Locker and going, all right, so I want these North Carolina Jordans. And they bring out a box and there's no size on it. And you're like, what size is it? I don't know, just put them on. That's how I feel most wholesalers are trying to sell me deals all the time. Like, don't make me ask. I'm the customer.